Good evening. Welcome to tonight's school board meeting. It's Monday, February 20th, 2023, 6 o'clock. We're in the Susan Tully Library boardroom of the 1887 building. And ask
Mr. Gayhart. Here. Mrs. Ingersoll.
Here.
Mr. Martell is excused. Mr. O'Donnell.
Here.
Mrs. Ray.
Here.
Mr. Scarrow.
Here. We do have a quorum. We will continue. Tonight's meeting was noticed per state statutes. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to appoint someone to replace Barb Fisher, who was tragically killed in a car accident back in December. According to Wisconsin State Statute 17.26 and Board Policy 133 and 134. So we'll proceed with that. Our first candidate is Patrick Meyerbuck. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Good evening. First and foremost, it's my sincere condolences for the loss of Ms. Fisher. I didn't know her personally, but it saddens me that I'm here for this very reason, but it also it's a true honor because her legacy is nothing short of impressive and tremendous. So with that being said, it's my sincere hope that I can do her some honor by sitting here and speaking with you fine people today. So
each candidate has been allotted 15 minutes, so we'll get going right away. Do we want to rotate who has just asked the question?
I think that would be good, so those out in the public can hear the question.
Okay. So, do you want Mr. Garrett? Do you want to start first question?
Why do you want to be appointed to the school board?
certainly, it comes down to one simple word, and that's duty. I feel that any good community member, any person in whatever respective position that they may have, be it a son, a father, a daughter, a mother, and everything else out there, the one thing that should guide their daily life is in fact duty. Now, with that being said, certain callings are for some and certain callings are not for some. In my particular, my situation here, my duty number one is as a husband and as a father, and then also to the surrounding community, because my family and I, a couple of years ago, we came and we chose this area right here to build our lives. And I can tell you that it's frankly one of the absolute greatest decisions of our lives. So with that being said, because my family and I, we received a great deal, I owe back to the community a sense of that duty. I have a duty to return the good that's been granted unto us. So with that being said, what I believe is a very positive skill set that would meet a lot of your needs. As was tendered previously, I'm an attorney, full service law firm. We have Meyerbuck Law Firm. We practice in Wisconsin, Illinois, and nationwide. The one thing that being an attorney for the past 10 years, having our firm has afforded us is the ability to, frankly, work through some of the nitty gritty out there. And, you don't have to turn on the news nowadays to know that there's quite a bit out there that students, teachers, parents, and the surrounding community have to navigate just to get an education. It's not as simple as you get up, you go to school, and come home, and everything's great. Unfortunately, it's not that. I have a pretty significant set of skills, having represented a number of administrators in various capacities. There was an article that I shared with you via my earlier packet, which was tendered. Something I'm very proud of. I was able to go in, coach who was not treated right, but we were able to get him back on track, and the good that he's done for the students is just tremendous, and it's something that I take very closely, along with many of my other situations that I've helped people with, whether it be in the school context or not. One thing, I have relatively significant public relations skill sets, both from frontline and behind the scenes. It's something that I feel with this day and age will really come in handy, and I humbly submit to you that I'm ready to serve.
If we asked, you kind of alluded to some of this already, but if we asked several people who know you very well, what reasons would they give to why you would be a good school board member?
Certainly can't speak for them, but in the very positive realm that I would like to think that they would say about me, it really comes down to heart. The one thing that I learned from a child, I was very blessed, God rest their souls, to have great parents. And they told me when I was a young man, or a young boy, everything that you do has to be done right. You don't have to necessarily win, or you don't have to come out number one, but you put everything you have into it. You use your heart. You fight forward with absolutely everything you have, or just don't do it. And that's something that I take very, very seriously. When I chose to be a husband, or frankly, when my lovely wife was so kind as to accept my choosing her as my spouse. I take that very seriously. I will do everything that it takes for that particular relationship. As a father, same thing. I'm here for my kids, but at the same time, by extension, should I be honored to serve on the board, it will be a situation where I am then in turn dutified and privileged to use my heart and every bit of drive that I have for the children of the greater Elkhorn community. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. So it really comes down to that sense of heart and knowing that there's greater ramifications for what you do every day than just participating. There has to be a sense of drive. There has to be a sense of motivation that goes beyond what you could just merely state. It has to be there or it's not. And frankly, that's why I stated early, some things are for some people, some things are not. This is something that I believe that I would be a very good candidate, or I am a good candidate, and I would be a very good board member, because whatever needs to be done, I will put my heart and soul into it.
Improvements or changes that you would like to see make, and if so, why?
So one of the things that when my wife and I were sitting around, we were talking about this meeting here tonight, and just we were going through some of the materials that were tendered. We went through the Wisconsin Association of School Board and their website and some of the data and some of the reports. Obviously, we could go on forever about that, but there was one thing that really stuck out to us, and it's hard to see, but it basically just in sum, it is I'll pass it around. It's a description of the cost of funding a student for any given year versus what the state allocation is and versus the impact of inflation. Now, one thing that I've been blessed to have in my experience is working with businesses. I'm very fortunate. My good friend here today is one of those businesses. He owns one of the biggest moving companies, not only in the Chicagoland area, but going nationwide. It's clients like that have afforded me the opportunity to learn how they operate and the priority set and how they function in such a manner that allows them to overcome obstacles such as inflation. So inflation hits, this is something that they have a plan in place. And if that plan doesn't work, now there's a backup plan in place. Quite simply, what I see is the good of business. There's a certain value set that is inherent with various businesses around. And I think that the school board would do well in partnering with that, tapping into that resource. Because at the end of the day, any good business for any community is vested in that community, and vice versa. The community is vested in that business because we all work together. Everything's a balance. We need each other to function, survive, and prosper. So with that being said, what I think that we're in relatively unprecedented times, not only just with the happenings of the world, but with skyrocketing inflation, cost bases that are all over the place. Candidly, it's a very tough job what you have. You guys are trying to continue a very high standard, continue doing very good work, where the cost to do that is skyrocketing, but you're not getting any help. So with that being said, I propose, and I would be more than happy to discuss this at length, a general, deeper partnership with the surrounding Elkhorn area community business center. I can tell you as a business owner myself and working with various businesses, they want to get ingrained. They want to get involved. And I'm not only talking from a fundraising standpoint, just direct, so from the school board and the school district to the business itself, but working together. Okay, this business has a skill set in A, B, and C. Well, you know what? Maybe they have a customer set that you can fundraise through them, through their customer set, co-marketing, things like that. So what I think, because there is this vested interest that a business would have in the school district and vice versa, we need to tap into that and use that to help bridge the challenges that are really brought on by these unprecedented times. I feel very strongly that to overcome and continue to do the good that you guys do, we need to get creative. And being creative, sometimes you hit it out of the park, sometimes it's not. But at the end of the day, you just keep fighting there and you use the resources that you have. Myself, I'd be more than happy to personally petition on behalf of the school board, on behalf of the school district, to partner with some of these businesses. Get them involved, fill these seats with them in here so they see what we do. So they see that the good, because it's one thing to read it on a website, engage them and motivate them. Because at the end of the day, we have a situation, that business down the street, they're gonna be hiring somebody who went to this school. They're gonna be hiring somebody who went to the high school in the various areas. So we need to tap into that resource.
What do you see as the most significant external threat to the success of our schools and students?
This to me is something that I could go on quite long, but I won't, I'll spare you that little nugget. I'm a great believer in tradition, and I'm a great believer that any functional society has to draw back on something that serves as a greater foundation for them than just themselves. And by tradition, I'm not meaning some archaic, abstract, you have to do everything the way it's already been done. Absolutely not. We're very, very blessed to live in an area and to live in a country, frankly, that affords citizens tremendous amount of opportunity. My good friend here came from Romania, and one of the stories that he tells me about how he grew up and how he came to the United States and how he prospered in the context in what the United States afforded him is tremendous. You get a chance to sit down and talk to him, it's a hell of a story. With that being said, there are certain things that this country offers that we need to tap into as well. We need to look back and we need to see that, yes, we've done great things, but we can always do better. So it's not being content with the status quo by any means, but when I say that we need to tap into tradition, we need to learn about the local leaders. Who founded Elkhorn? Who founded, who were the founders of Wisconsin? What were the problems that the founders of the state of Wisconsin were facing at the time? What did they succeed at? What did they fail at? How can we take that and build upon it rather than just dispose of it? Because at the end of the day, there's so many inherent lessons by that which we come from, why we're here today. No man or woman is an island. We're all here because we're blessed to be standing on the shoulders of giants, and we need to tap into that as well. So with that being said, tradition it automatically connects with community because you have some of the fine people who have been here. They're in their 90s. They've been here for all their lives, and they have these great lessons, and they have tradition sets that we need to engage with the community in general, and we need to incorporate that in what we do. So there's more specific ways that I'm more than happy to get into, but we have a somewhat limited time. If given the opportunity, I will tee off on that. As you can imagine, I like to talk. So,
what do you think the school board should do to ensure the district is able to attract and retain high quality staff?
One of the things that I have found, just not only in my professional capacity, but in any personal capacity, is the absolute importance of communication. Communication is so fundamental to everything that we do. One of the biggest problems during COVID was the lack of communication. You can't see people, you can't interact. That is a human necessity. We're built to have communication. So with that being said, there's an inherent, what some would perceive as conflict between a school board and a school district and its employee side. Now, to a degree, that's true. That's just the reality of it. The paychecks are signed and they provide a service. But the thing about a school district and what we're dealing with here, it's a little bit more special than that because we're dealing with really what is frankly the greatest asset that we have collectively, and that's our kids, our future, who are going to carry the torch moving forward. So with that being said, communication is absolutely key. Get to know these people. Get to know our staff. Get to know the person who cleans the floors. Get to know the person who teaches algebra. Get to know these people on obviously it's not going to work in every single situation, but as closely as you can. Get to know, hey, this is a teacher. I can name teachers already right next door that are just, I don't want to play favorites, but I have some favorites over there already. Get to know what they do and frankly, get to know their pain points. Talk to them. Hey, Miss or Mr. So-and-so, when you go into the classroom every day, what do you face? What's the issue? What's holding you back from just taking this to the next level? Talk to them. Not every recommendation or request is going to be realistic. That's just frankly, how it works. But you talk to them, you work together. And by that when people feel engaged, they feel they have a vested interest. They're not just collecting a paycheck. They feel, hey, I'm part of something bigger. I'm dutified now because of the work that I do, and I benefit the community, and they're working with me, so I'm going to work with them. So I can tell you, there's a number of teachers in particular that I've represented over the years, and one of the biggest problems, in whatever capacity, whatever the issue would be, was just the lack of communication. They felt that they were put down here and everybody else was put up here, and unless you bridge that gap, you're going to have problems. So you can retain talent and you can attract new talent if you're willing to go out there and actually just connect with them. Because you start to connect with them, now you have a situation where maybe they're not getting the pay that they want, but you know what? They love going to work. They love knowing that, God forbid something happens, somebody's gonna have their back, that somebody's fighting for them. That, in these problematic times, they're going to be able to figure out what they need to do because somebody's gonna help them do it. So at the end of the day, it's just engaging. Is it gonna always be perfect? Absolutely not. But if you set that sort of precedent, people are going to want to be a part of it. And you know what? People are going to want to engage with you back. So that is just quite simply getting to know, engage with the teachers, engage with the staff. Everybody, like I say, everybody has a job. Get to know what everybody does. And that's gonna do great. Thanks for the school district.
What do you see as the current strengths of the school district, and how should the board work to maintain going forward?
This was a very, very easy one for me. Community. Excuse me. I grew up, and candidly, I use the more humorous terms with what you would call somebody who comes from Chicago and comes up here. I think it rhymes with him, but we won't go beyond that. I grew up in people think Chicago, they think, okay, this big city, very cold, very distant, this and that, all that. I was blessed. The area I grew up in was almost a small community. It was a small town in and of itself. Anything that happened, you better believe the person 3 blocks over knows exactly before everything else. So you might as well have segmented it off and called it just Northwest Side, North Mayfair, that's it. Unfortunately, with the way things have changed, it didn't offer, when I was growing up there, it didn't offer the same thing. So my wife and I were very, I like to think, diligent people, but we want to know, we research, we get to know what we're getting into before we do it, especially when it comes to something involving our 3 girls. I mean, it's 7, 3, and 8 months old, they're the bosses. So we started to get to know the area. We had friends in the area. We had people, just in everywhere from Delavan, Lake Geneva, and in between. But we got to know Elkhorn, and we got to know it as a very, 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 very special and unique community. It has a certain sense of values that we want instilled in our kids. It's as simple as that. And the thing that I commend you all with doing, and I don't know the inner workings because there's certain things you just do, but the thing I commend you is you've taken that torch and you run with it. And that's why there was no question when we moved here, where are my girls gonna go? Well, they go next door. We're going to go to mid school. They're going to go to the Elkhorn. They're going to go the same thing with high school. There's no question with that. And that's something that you all should take great pride in, because with this, the way things are nowadays, it's very challenging. It's not as simple as you just get there and meet and okay, everything rubber stamp done. No, you have to keep and maintain a community base, a tradition in a very tumultuous time. And I'll tell you what, I'm proud to be an Elkhorn area citizen. I'm proud to be someone who chose to come here and build a life with his wife and 3 daughters right here. So, at the end of the day, whether I'm blessed with the opportunity or not, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. And it's there's certain things that, I think other districts would be blessed to have people like yourselves who have that priority set, because it's obvious that something's being done right here. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Right on time.
Awesome. So thank you. Oh, thank you very much.
Next is Jason Saunders.
Sure.
Anything? Thank you.
So So Jason, I'm gonna start you out with your first question. Why do you want to be appointed to the school board? And what are the contributions that you feel you can make to the leadership of the district?
I believe any effective school board doing a lot of creative perspective experiences and sorry, hold on.
It's all good. Deep breath.
All right. And an effective school board can bring a variety of perspective experiences to the table, which can help better understand and address the students, families, teachers, administrators. I personally want to be, or I am interested in being appointed to the school board, because I believe that education is the foundation of a successful, strong community. I'm passionate about making a positive impact on students and families, the wider community at large. Ultimately, I'm confident that my life experiences will contribute to a successful school. You probably noticed this is a little nerve-wracking for me, a little out of my comfort zone. So I always tell my kids that growth comes out of your comfort zone. So I'm committed to try to do something impactful and different and expand my growth.
Next question. We asked several people who know you very well the reasons why you would make a good school board member. What would they tell us?
I would like to highlight my ability to be a good listener. Good listener is an essential, critical skill for anybody in a leadership position, especially in a school board where you're going to come across a lot of diverse, unique people and experiences. You have to be able to hear and understand what they're saying. As a good listener, it's important to hear and listen to those people that are involved. That includes parents, teachers, students, administrators. I believe being open to different viewpoints and willing to consider different approaches can help to ensure a school board is effective in the mission of supporting education and the development of all students.
Are there specific improvements or changes that you would like to see the board or administration consider? If so, what?
Yes. This concern comes firsthand from having a middle-aged or middle school age student. I'm a strong believer and I like to instill my kids accountability and effort. And I believe that the retake policy hinders those attributes. I also see that it's important in some cases to have kids have the ability to retake tests when they generally want to understand and gain knowledge of maybe that specific subject that they maybe missed on. However, the ability to retake tests has a negative consequence. Devalues the importance of the test. It incentivizes cramming instead of learning. I think it's good to hold kids accountable and to teach them and learn from their mistakes and be able to cope and handle things. Because in life, when you become an adult, we don't get the luxury of retaking important moments, such as interviews or sales presentations. Anything that's essential as an adult might not get the second chance. It's also important for students to learn how to handle those setbacks and to learn from the mistakes and cope with them. It's important for them to be able to grow and be resilient and have the adaptability to succeed in life after high school.
Okay. What do you see as the most significant external threats to the success of our schools and students?
Yes. I believe social media is the most significant external threat to our schools. and students. The constant unlimited access to social media platforms can distract kids from their studies. They can have negative effects on their social and mental health. And it can expose them to material that is beyond their ages. Social media can also contribute to the spread of misinformation. It can be used for a tool for cyberbullying. And this leads to serious consequences such as depression, anxiety, and suicide. Also, we need to acknowledge that social media is a positive tool for kids. They can use it for connecting with peers, connecting with teachers, connecting with administrators. It can provide opportunities for research, learning. But it can also be a platform for kids to creatively express themselves and be unique. However, we as a school, teachers, parents included, we have to find that balance where we teach kids how to handle that unlimited access to social media platforms, and teach them how to be successful using them, and also how to prevent them and mitigate the negative impacts that could have.
What do you think the school board should do to ensure that the district is able to attract and retain a high quality staff?
I believe that the school district has done an exceptional job in drawing in new talent, retaining that talent, and keeping a successful school. While being part of the Southfield community, having kids in the school district, and having the privilege of coaching a handful of youth sports, I've seen the good that our teachers do. They truly care for the students. They make the kids feel included. They build connections, they build relationships, and they truly care. Teachers are the backbone of any successful school district, and I think we have some of that. Just from my experiences.
So what do you see as the current strengths of our school district, that the board should continue to maintain?
Yeah.
Moving us forward.
Though there's many strengths currently that I see. One of them, I think, is the amount of programs that we have to offer for all the students. Some of those programs, particularly successful, I would believe, is Project Lead the Way. Something I wish I could have when I was in school. Others would be HOSA, Avid, esports is a big. That's a big thing. I think our partnership with Gateway is a big deal. I think the school board can continue to invest in programs like those, add on, and I'm sure there's plenty that I didn't list, but programs like those give all students an opportunity to find an avenue, find an interest, experiment with new things. I think that's just gonna, in the end, improve the outcome of what our school district produces. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason. Let me unmute the computer. Francis, are you ready to roll?
Yeah, we're fine.
I am ready. Can you hear me okay?
Let's let the board get their papers ready.
No problem. And thank you for your flexibility.
We all have kids. Somebody's always there.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure you do not want to catch what I have.
We appreciate you staying home.
Yeah.
charity.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I think Julia started last.
yeah,
week.
Yeah,
I'm like looking at the question, reading it, and maybe I should just read it to everybody. You can hear me okay?
I can hear you okay.
Why do you want to be appointed to the school board, and what are some contributions you can make to the leadership of the district?
Again, thank you, board members, for the opportunity to have this interview and offer myself a service for the board. I think it is number one important that if you want the best education for your kids, it is important that you get involved, that you are part of that education, that you are part of that confidence building, communication skills, business acumen that we want our kids to grow up with. I feel strong about participating in committees and board so that I can also be part of that impact and be able to influence not only changes, but strengths that the board has or the district has for our schools. Some of the skills that I bring to the table, it's over 17 years of communication and leadership development for both young adults and adults. And I also have experience not only participating in PTAs throughout my entire history of my kids being in school. And my kids are 24, 19, and 12. So I definitely have a lot of experience being part of the educational program for my kids. I also know that this school board and this school district has provided me with a lot of benefits that have assisted my kids in having the best experience. And I am a true believer that you need to pay that forward. So my intent for running on the board, it is so that I can be an additional person to pay it forward. And just like my kids have had benefits in this district, I can also be part of bringing those benefits to other kids and future generations.
Thank you.
Thank you. If we asked several people who know you very well the reasons why you would make a good school board member, what would they tell us?
Among what I hear being told to me as compliments and feedback, it is my involvement, my commitment to growth, my commitment to make the best individual that you can be. Participating in the board has allowed me to build my own leadership skills. I've been members of boards before, and it is somewhat, like it was mentioned by one of the candidates, it is a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, that's when you grow. You grow out of discomfort. So people will tell you that I am one of those that jumps right in, head, hands, feet. And the purpose is to be able to be in that uncomfortable zone to grow.
Okay. Are there specific improvements or changes that you would like to see the board or administration consider? And if so, why?
What I would say is, and I've been a member or I've been a resident of Elkhorn for just about 5 years. Prior to that, I used to live in Florida, so I have some experience on how the district runs in other places. One of the aspects that I really feel will make the Elkhorn district a little bit stronger is to strengthen the diversity and inclusion that we have with our schools. What I've noticed, especially this last year, as my last one goes through middle school, is the high diverse group of kids that go to school today. It would be lovely to see Elkhorn doing a lot more activities that surround diversity, not just ethnic diversity, but also orientation diversity to help kids build those values of acceptance and build values of that is good to be diverse. It is nice to get ideas from different views and perspectives. So that would be one aspect that I would feel the district should strengthen, its additional activities around diversity and inclusion.
What do you see as the most significant external threats to the success of our schools and students?
I would say, and I feel strongly about this, it is related to mental health. I would say that one of the most impactful situations occurring in my own environment, I would say, was the passing of that high school student last year. That individual was a really good friend of my daughter. And if there is one thing that really, really hits you or disheartens you, is to see your own kid being severely affected by the mental health of another. Let's be realistic. We don't know what happens behind closed doors. We have no idea the struggles that parents and or children are going through, that as teachers, even though we want to be open to them coming to us for situations, that doesn't always happen. And what I would like to be able to simply just have the district be part of some type of initiative that helps support kids in the aspect of mental health, additional education around anxiety management, coping mechanisms, when to talk to others, have more parents support kids. Doesn't just have to be your own kids, support other kids. And again, that's an external thread because, like I mentioned, we don't really know what happens behind closed doors. And what we need to realize is that mental health is an issue for our students. And it's something that they have to learn how to deal with while they're young so that they can grow up to be adults that can manage, adults that can cope. So it will be very important for the district to keep an eye on this external threat and have initiatives around it.
What do you think that the school board should do to ensure that the district is able to attract and retain high quality staff?
I think it's very important that just like we try to do for our students, that we are able to provide our teachers an excellent experience by being in our district. One of the aspects that I feel will be really important is to be distinguished in a way on different things, maybe different certifications that teachers can get while they are part of this district, enhance the quality of the teaching program so that they're able to feel that their voice is being heard, make sure that they have the support that they need, and it's above and beyond financial, but ensuring that they have all the tools that they need to be a distinguished teacher in a way. It is important, I think, to not only think of the kids having the best experience in our schools, but our teachers are significantly an important part of that experience. If your teachers are not happy, if your teachers are not getting quality experience in our district, it's not just the fact that they won't stay, but that can certainly hinder the experience of our students. So essentially, our teachers need to be able to have not only the best experience while they're part of this district, but just be able to have something that other districts do not have that makes them key or highly qualified. I mentioned having specific certifications. Maybe you want to integrate on your teacher's development plan that they get advanced certifications, advanced teaching certifications. This could certainly improve the experience of a teacher that comes to our district. What kind of support do we give the teachers that are here for the first time? Do we have a robust onboarding program that can help them acclimate to Elkhorn District? And it doesn't really matter where they are, even if they don't stay, they can take that to other schools. And because of the way that we've built them, they can turn around and build our community further.
Last question. What do you see as the current strengths of the school district that the board should try to maintain going forward?
100% my best experience about being in Elkhorn has been community. I would say the first time that I attended an event, I was so impressed that everybody will come out. I was absolutely used to being in other districts where it was hard to get the parents to even come and participate on an activity of their own kid. So I just thought it was really, really interesting how everybody comes out. Everybody does sports, arts, whatever, the whole community comes out. I also like the fact that Elkhorn does a lot of activities around the community outside of education. Having friends on the square, having simply just a way for the community to get together. I enjoy going to the gym in the high school, so it makes me feel part of the school, makes me feel part of this community. So I definitely feel that it's important for Elkhorn District to continue to strengthen that community togetherness. And again, it is often said that it takes a village. I want to be part of that village.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again for your opportunity.
Mr. Gadden, are you okay going? We're running ahead, but you're good?
It's completely up to you guys. I'll take it.
I did. Okay.
All right. Why do you want to be appointed to the school board, and what are the contributions you can make to the leadership of the district?
So, everybody here that I've heard so far have children in the school district. In the last year, I became a foster parent. And now, in my house, I have 10 kids on the weekend, all of them that are currently going to the school district in some way, shape, or form. I try to make sure that I'm involved in each one of their school performances here. I have kids that are going to SOFOs, the options, to the middle school, to the high school. I have another child that's part of the school district, but gets sent down to Clay Academy because that's what was best to suit his needs within the school district. I touch every part of the school district. I know how best each and every single one of my kids are doing within the school district. When I moved here from Milwaukee about 4 years ago, in 2019. My wife's originally from Oklahoma, and I'm from Wisconsin, but I was in the military, I was in the Marine Corps for 8 years. I lived in Milwaukee for 6 years, while I was finishing up school. And I started my career working in the federal government. I worked at the VA for 6 years, at which time I just felt it was best for me to move on from the VA. So I found a job working as a program manager as a transitional living facility for homeless veterans, right on the other side of Hebron. So my skills translate directly into what we're doing here. While I was in the Marine Corps, all 8 years I was an accountant. That's what I did. I worked with budgets. I worked with base budgets. I made sure that we were doing what we needed to do to make sure that there was no dime that was spent improperly. When I left Marine Corps and I went to school, I started out in accounting when I went to college. I quickly realized that I hated accounting. But I kept going on with school, and I switched gears. I started doing political science, history, and religious studies. I really wanted to be a teacher. When I was in high school, my history teacher just touched me in a way that made it so I wanted to do his job when I got older. So I switched gears into what I ended up graduating in. Turned out that nobody wanted to hire somebody who was just a history major. They wanted to have a education degree as well. It was fine. So I started in the world of government. I worked with disability claims for a number of years, but then, as fate would have it, 3 years in, they ended up putting me back into accounting again. So I worked in accounting for another 3 years. So again, it just always comes back to the numbers to me. I'm very good at numbers. It's just, nobody likes to do them. And so I always get stuck doing it. But I think that by my wife and I moving here, it allowed us to be able to have a life that we never really envisioned. My wife wanted to move back to Oklahoma. I promised her a long time ago that I would do it. But my older two kids, with my previous wife, excuse me, my previous wife, made it so it was impossible. So we had to find a community that was in the local area, local to Milwaukee, where I could see all of my kids growing up. Elkhorn turned out to be that place. And I'm hoping to be able to pass that along to everybody else that comes back to Elkhorn.
Yeah.
Sorry. If we ask several people who know you very well, the reasons why you would make a good school board member, what would they tell us?
Experience and leadership. My experience within the accounting world is second to none. I do it in my job now. I did it for 6 years for 3 years in the federal government, and I did it again with 8 years when I was in the Marine Corps. I know how to work budgets. I know how to manipulate budgets to make it so that they are balancing properly and making sure that we are accountable to the taxpayers here in the local community. That more than anything, I think, is the stewardship of the money that is being granted to us is the most important thing of a school board to do outside of taking care of the students themselves. So the experience that I have in relationships with accounting is huge, but my leadership also matters. My time in the Marine Corps translated into what I'm doing now, where I'm a program manager with homeless veterans. And it allows me to be able to take a small group of individuals that are all social workers, people that have more education than I could ever dream of, and I'm able to lead them. I'm able to show them what they need to be doing and making sure that they're doing what they need to be doing on the ground with these individuals. So I believe those are the two skills that directly translate to this.
Thank you.
Are there specific improvements or changes that you would like to see the board or administration consider and why?
Yes. Having kids go through the school district, I've noticed two things that have been, I feel so old saying this now, right? I've never pictured myself as the person that would be like, God, if I could just get rid of cell phones and computers, I would be amazing, right? And I'm not saying to do this, but the two biggest things that I've had issues with my kids going through, with my foster kids going through, have been cell phones and computers in the school district. However we go about figuring out to make sure that we keep those two things at a minimal basis, or at least specific towards the education of the students, it would go a long way to be able to help out some of the other issues that we've talked about here tonight, mental health and test taking and things like that. I mean, it will. My foster daughter, when she first moved in with me, went to the high school. She came from Illinois. Her biggest problem in school wasn't the fact that she wasn't smart enough or not doing what she needed to do. It was every 5 minutes she was looking down at her cell phone and figuring out what was on Snapchat or TikTok or whatever. And it became a distraction to where I eventually had to lay down with those teachers after I was sitting down with them and saying, hey, look, we need to make sure that we're taking away the cell phone. We're not giving her access to it. Ultimately, it was my responsibility as a parent, which is what I ended up taking control of. But there are some options the school district can do to be able to make sure that those things are limited. The next thing was the computers. I'm a tech nerd. I always have been, and I always will be. My children, as they're growing up, they're getting used to all of the technology, all of the laptops, all of the things that they have options at while they're at school. Some of them are fantastic. The laptops in general are not bad things. They're not bad tools. It's how my children or how children use them that become problems. How many times have we heard stories about children bullying each other while they're in school, or looking up inappropriate things, or talking about inappropriate things within a school laptop? And it becomes problems. We have the power, you have the power as a school district, as a school board, to look at those policies and make sure that we are constantly updating them to make sure that we are keeping our children safe as possible while they're using those things in the classroom.
What do you see as the most significant external threats to the success of our schools and students?
people on the outside. And what I mean by that is every person, every person sees it these days. There's a national media, left, right, center, it doesn't matter. The national focus on school boards within the last 2 years. And it doesn't matter who it is, everybody's focusing on them. What's right for the national scene is irrelevant to what happens here in Elkhorn. You, ladies and gentlemen, take control of the school board and provide policy and guidance for what is best for our community. And what is best for Elkhorn is not what is good for Milwaukee, which is not what is good for Antigo, Wisconsin, which is not what is good for any other community in the entire United States. And we have to make sure that we are looking at our policies within a lens that is specific to Elkhorn, Wisconsin. And I think that right there, that just the idea that people from the outside can influence us is probably the greatest threat that we have to the school board here.
Sorry, I'm gonna write for just a second.
Of course, go right ahead. I'll take the next part. You're doing that.
I know it's my turn, but I'll be on to the next one and
Of course.
Forget. Okay. What do you think the school board should do to ensure that the district is able to attract and retain high quality staff?
It's a multi-step process. The first step, I believe I already heard it here tonight, is to communicate and speak with the teachers. Knowing as many teachers as I do know, and unfortunately with all my kids, I know a lot of teachers now. The number one thing that I think that would be important to them is to be able to make sure that their kids are taken care of and the kids are being helped. I can guarantee you that none of them have pay on the top 5 or 10 list of things that's really a problem here with what they need to be doing here. Our community is a great community. Our school district is an awesome school district. There's a reason why I came here with my children. I didn't have a job here. I was still commuting back and forth between Milwaukee and Elkhorn when I first moved here. It wasn't because I had a job here that I moved here. It was because of the school district, because I knew that when I moved here, my kids would be taken care of within the school district. My kids would be going to a good school. Not many people know this. We live in a southeastern part of Wisconsin where it's a major metropolitan area. We have, Chicago just to the south of us. We have Milwaukee to the east of us, Madison to the west of us. And I mean, how many people in Wisconsin, North Point to Elkhorn, Wisconsin? Not many. I didn't know it existed until I started really truly looking for a place to settle down at. Communication with our teachers is key and paramount. Finding out what it is they would like to see have happen. Then it's as simple as just trying to figure out whether or not we can do it or not. Sometimes just because somebody wants something doesn't mean that we're able to give it to them. But the fact that we're listening to them, hearing them, speaking with them, communicating with them, allows them to feel heard and allows them to feel like their opinion matters. It's just that simple. I have, like I said, I work at a place where I have people that are far more educated and experienced than I am. I work with 7 different social workers, all of them with a master's degree, and all of them make far lower amounts of money than they should be making. And yet, all of them continue to work at the place of employment because I'm able to do things and give them things that don't require any finances. Just a good place to work in, good people to work with, a boss that is willing to listen to them and help them out whenever it's necessary. Those things are invaluable. You can't put a price tag on those things. And so just doing those types of things will be able to help us maintain and bring in new talent into the school district.
What do you see as the current strengths of the school district that the board should work to maintain going forward?
The diversity of schools, the ability to be able to take a child that has autism, that is unable to be able to go to a traditional school, and we can now send him down to Clay Academy down in Illinois, which is a school that is able to help him out. They were to take a 9-year-old little girl who isn't able to go to a traditional school because she's being bullied. And she's able to go to options where, you know, she's in school for 3 days a week, but the other 2 days a week that she's there, that she's supposed to be having school, she's doing schoolwork at home with her family. The fact that you have a 12-year-old little boy who's going to cell phones right now because he's unable to actually express himself in ways that he is healthy in a traditional school setting. Where he's going to school for 2 hours a day, getting his schoolwork done, completing a semester within a week because the distractions are no longer there, and he's able to continue on with his mental health through day treatments. The fact that I have another child who's in high school who we had in options for a while because we thought it was best for him, but it wasn't, and so we were able to immediately transfer him over to the high school where he was able to get the help that he was needed, the day-to-day oversight that he was needed to be able to continue on and be successful in his career. And the fact that my oldest son has been going to the high school since the very beginning, that has been so helpful to him for where he came from and what he was doing prior to him moving here. The fact that he has a large group of friends, he's been involved with football, wrestling, and track almost every single year of his high school career. He had the plethora of options that we have here is non-existent in almost every other school district. And the fact that we are continuing to fund these things have been the highlight of moving down here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're ahead of schedule. We're ready to roll.
Here.
It was
Great, no problem. Go ahead and have a seat.
good, yeah. Yes. So Eddie, sorry.
All right, so question one here. Why do you want to be appointed to the school board, and what are the contributions you can make to the leadership of the district?
I have an extreme vested interest in the schools here in Elkhorn. I have a student that's a freshman in high school. I have a sixth grader in junior high. I have two at Tibbetts as well. So we moved here out of Milwaukee. We have no plans of moving anywhere again. So we plan on staying here until retirement. We don't plan on going anywhere. As far as leadership, I think it's one of those things where we're in a world today where leaders need to be able to have courage to talk about the truth and to back up the truth when it comes down to it. I think it's a situation where there's going to be times ahead where a lot of us are going to be put in positions that are uncomfortable, and leaders step up in those situations. I have many times in my past where I've stepped up. There was one time where I definitely should have been killed by an ex-Army guy, but that was defending my wife's dog. I know it sounds weird, but that was kind of the situation. And sometimes the school boards these days have a lot of external pressure. I think we see society shifting very quickly, and if the truth is there and what's right in protecting the students is what has to be done, the right people need to be in place to make those calls.
If we ask several people who know you very well, the reasons why you would make a good school board member, what would they tell us?
I think honesty, integrity, and not afraid to fight for what's right. I think that's something, those are some of the first things that will come to mind. I think that people will say that he's willing to digest what's being said and take the necessary time to formulate a response and be able to handle certain objections that come the way. And I think really when it comes down to friends, I'm sure all of us can name a whole bunch of people that will vouch for us. I think when it comes down to it, perfect example, number of years ago, I ran Jimmy John's in the city of Milwaukee. I did that for 6 years. And everywhere my wife and I went out on a date or something like that, we would eventually run into somebody that I unfortunately had to terminate. And there was always a good relationship during those times.
You know, and I think it's one of those things, so even people in the past, where I've had to have those uncomfortable conversations, that would say good things, except my ex-partner. We won't talk about that.
Are there specific improvements or changes that you would like to see the board or administration consider, and if so, why?
I think as far as improvements and changes, I think I'm still trying to figure out Elkhorn itself. I have a very small sample size of the school district itself. But what I do know, I think it's important to stress the importance of what's going to happen with Tony Ebert's recent funding for schools and how that's going to impact the referendum, or does it have no impact whatsoever? I think that's something I haven't been able to really dive into everything and all the nooks and crannies of it, but I know that there's additional funding going to the schools. And so how will that impact essentially what's being put on the taxpayers of Elkhorn? So I think that's something that I'm curious about.
What do you see as the most significant external threats to the success of our schools and students?
Society. When I was a kid, yeah, we had to worry about drugs and alcohol, stop, drop, and roll if we got caught on fire. But now it seems like kids are being forced and almost shot out of a cannon into real life way sooner than they should be. I think the world of social media has changed so much over the years, and I think it's one of those things where we're talking about students and kids, and we should try and keep them in a bubble as long as possible and protect them from the world, but also at the same time let them be prepared for what the world is in front of them. And I think it's one of those things where there's nothing but external pressures on children these days, and they get it from everywhere. Whether it's kids at school, or even if they just go online. The online situation is worse than it. For us growing up, there was no online. If somebody was going to be a bully, they had to do it to your face. Kids can say one thing and just get attacked from 100 different people that they've never seen before. Those are psychological stresses that none of us had to endure. So how to adapt in those situations, and just sheltering the kids the best we possibly can.
Yes, thank you.
What do you think the school board should do to ensure that the district is able to attract and retain high quality staff?
What are the best ones doing? I think that's really what it is. What did the students say the best ones are doing? What are the other teachers saying the best ones are doing? What are the parents saying the best ones are doing? My son had Mrs. Cart at the elementary school, and it was a big adjustment for him. He came from a Montessori school in Milwaukee, and so he's never been a sit type of child. It's in his blood to just run. And she just sat down with him at the PTA, or not the PTA, but the parent-teacher conference, the first one we did, and she said, "Look, you got to change a lot of what you're doing." And what I loved is she was talking to him, not me, not my wife, because we were both there. She knew he had our support, and we were also supporting what she was saying and saying, "Hey, I'm willing to work with you, but you have to be willing to work with me." And she, along with the other teachers at that time, and surprisingly, he's been on the honor roll ever since. And that was something that going into from where he was leaving Milwaukee to Elkhorn, I didn't think that was going to be words I would be saying in the future. And I think it's finding what the teachers are doing and emulating them and finding candidates that mirror what those positive teachers are doing. You know, I think that's really the biggest thing, and find out what the bad ones are doing. And unfortunately, you gotta get rid of bad eggs. I was a sales trainer for a number of years, and I worked with the general public in retail for a number of years. And I think that there's about 10%, maybe 15% of the people out there are just unfortunately bad people. But you know, the 85% are really good people, and they get lost sometimes. And sometimes, especially in the school system, my mom was a teacher at Wheeling High School for 30 plus years in ESL, and she had to deal with bad teachers. And all she was trying to do was help students all the way through. And it was a very tough job, especially when other teachers were the biggest roadblocks. And then unfortunately, if it's a scenario where somebody's not upholding their end of the bargain, they should be let go. And somebody that is doing an awesome job should be rewarded for it. I'm finding more of those people that fit what those people are doing right.
What do you see as the current strengths of the school district that the board should work to maintain going forward?
I think it was awesome when the principal of Westside came in here and asked for $70,000 for the playground. And you all questioned it. You asked, did you go to another person? Did you get a second bid? And you know, there was also other things, other recommendations of different grants and different avenues, or did you know, talk with these people? And you guys were very open. You didn't shut them down or anything like that. You said, hey, let's do some more research on this. And what did he do last week? He came back here, said it was, what, 53,000, somewhere in that range, and it's fully funded. I think that's awesome. You know, I think, and it kind of goes back to some of the stuff with the referendum too. So now it's, you know, what does the Tony Weaver stuff do? You know, does that pave the way for, and I don't know how it works within the law, what's on, may already be on the ballot or not. Or does that change anything, or does it just kind of, well, we got 3 million coming, so let's, you know, save it and make sure that it's either paying off debt off long-term loans or, you know, put towards good use. I think those are some of the biggest things, and you know, it's something that, you know, I challenge the board to do too. If there's a situation, if the people of Elkhorn vote yes, great. If the people of Elkhorn vote no, then the board's got to get creative, like the principal of Westside did.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, let's take some time to get over the thoughts.
Yeah, do you want me to outline the process, Matt, for those that are here in the meeting, or do you want to outline that?
So what we'll do is, you know, after we take some time to gather our thoughts and think about what we've heard, because we've got a lot of great candidates here, it's going to be a tough decision. The reality is we've got 5 people here and only 1 position, so 4 people will go home disappointed, but there's an election in the spring, so I think there's going to be looking to run another time we can choose them. So after we have our chance to gather our thoughts, we'll do a vote for our top 3 candidates. I think that's the best way to narrow it a little bit from where we're starting to the 5, and then we can get an idea of where we're at. After we do that, then we'll attempt. We can have a discussion if anybody would like to discuss their preferred candidate, but then we can do a vote for the top 1 candidate. Whoever is the appointee must get 4 votes. It's a super majority of the board, so according to policy. So whoever that person is will need to get 4 votes. If no one's able to get 4 votes in the first round, then we can have another discussion, or we can try again and again, as many times as we'd like, until either we're able to make a decision, somebody gets 4 votes, or until somebody, we decide to try the meeting. At that point, I guess according to policy, I would appoint someone after 60 days, which I prefer we get somebody.
I would like to just mention, again, wonderful candidates. I'm thoroughly impressed. I have absolutely no say in the outcome of it, just so everybody knows. But, I do want to point out, Matt would ensure that the last time we had a board opening, Matt was a candidate. How many years ago was that?
It's 12, maybe 13.
And Matt was not selected for the position at that point, and he ran
Next year.
the next year, and he won the seat at that point.
So I've been in your position.
He's been there as well, but, all right. So, and everybody's welcome to stay online, and it's kind of like the Speaker of the House election there. Gotta get the floor.
I'm not gonna get your face, man.
Let's get to board. Yes, you'll need to use the ballot. You shall have ballots.
Yep.
So the first ballot has 3 lines on it. So that'll be your first initial vote. Make sure you sign your ballots.
Nice to meet you.
Because we need to, I'm gonna keep a spreadsheet of it also, but I wanted to have paper copies of this.
We have to retain those, yeah.
Yep.
So I won't make you yell out like the person that you're gonna put in the house.
Free to the one. In this, yep. We're not
So you guys doing
nominating.
well
like,
down
we're
in Clay?
nominating
He's doing
for
great.
votes.
All right.
He's doing really good. They just, so they have a leader, they have like
Take
a
the 3.
color
And then
system
from
on
the
how
top,
well he's doing.
got it.
And for the first time since he's been down there,
We'll
he
just pass
has
it.
reached
I'll put it in
the
the
top,
spreadsheet.
which is leadership.
So
So
everyone
he's
can log
doing
if you
really
have your computer.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. No, Matt's
Oh.
little brother was
Okay.
his football.
It's on the board.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
coach.
Gotcha, yeah. But yeah, he's doing, he's doing really
Yeah.
good. He's actually, we're actually gonna, we'll have him finalize the adoption workers register over tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so he should be adopted here, within the next 2 or 3 months. Yeah.
I bet he's excited.
Yes, he's very, I mean, he's been in the system since he was 4, so he's 12 now. He's been a long time coming for him.
And in your board notes, you got the link to the spreadsheet.
Oh, you didn't show it. Yep, nope, I know. Yep, I'm not. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, this one? Okay. Yep. Yes.
I'm just waiting on you. I don't have COVID, so. We're good.
Sure.
I'm positive. Yeah, we talked about it. Right. But your family never recovers, so I'm just. Before I leave, please use this.
Use my hands open.
Will you what? Oh,
I
we
wanted to
wanted to
use
use
it.
the gavel?
He's threatened a few times,
I'm glad
but
he's never had to use
Right?
the gavel.
Not a very big ass.
I know, I'm just saying, before I leave,
I think Susan.
you've got like
was.
3 more meetings.
I think I remember Susan.
Susan?
Did Susan use it?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Okay, not that your eye was on with her. We only had 1 year.
That's good.
Yeah.
Can't reach out his hand.
No, that's good.
Oh.
You can read my handwriting now.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right.
I need you to sign yours too. Yours list.
Does a lot. Yeah.
So a little background for you guys. My parents moved to Elkhorn in 1979 because of the schools.
God bless. That's awesome.
That's why,
That's awesome.
that's why I'm still here.
That's a good place, so. No, does your wife work for the school?
She used to.
Okay, she's, so then there's a Mrs. Gayart that, is over at Jackson.
She was. That's my wife.
Oh, that's your wife, okay. Our daughter loves her, so,
Oh, yeah.
okay. So.
No, I got the first.
Oh, yeah. 2 4s and 2 3s.
Oh, we're gonna have it? Yeah, that's what we have.
So we narrowed it to 4.
Would it be easier if you didn't have so many good candidates?
Yeah, I
No,
know.
right?
That's right. That's exactly
Selfishly,
right.
I was very happy when I looked it up and it was
Right. Yeah, that would have been really, really difficult.
There's just,
We would have been here all night.
All right, so
so now we're gonna do this one.
it's been narrowed slightly.
Okay.
Everyone can see it, right?
Can we do another round of 3 or not?
We could do a round of 2
Or a round of 2?
and then take our
We could
top
take-
2.
We could just do a 1 and see if somebody gets 4 votes, and then if we can't, narrow it to 2.
I don't think so.
We don't have them.
No, I don't think it
You
will.
want to narrow it to 2?
I think we're.
We can just take one of the rounds and have the line
Yeah.
do it.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do the next round. So this will be round 2 and then add it to
Okay.
your top 2.
So this is round 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
And see sign it again.
I would sign it better.
You should sign it, but now I know what it looks like. so-
Yeah, you're fine. It was process of elimination with the 2 of us.
Yeah, I'll put the second column in for,
Yeah.
I can't, obviously.
Kevin, this is yours. Did you add a second?
You gotta add a second person.
Good thing it's all signature.
I know,
I know, but
so I gave, that's right. There's always one of us, right? Better? Your signature is better.
That's not true.
Your church signature.
Not my everyday signature, like especially this Sunday.
Oh.
Not like.
You take attendance at church.
Not like,
Going to meetings.
not like you're
Going to
signing,
meetings.
signing the credit card
You ready?
machine.
All right, I need some.
It's,
So it is.
sorry. You're talking to. You say what?
Not very-
Okay.
It's in series.
Let me make sure all those are correct.
I got 2 ties again.
2 sets of ties?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Ties in.
Yeah, is that correct? So do we take? Now go to one and take the top two and go to one, or? None of those candidates got 4, so,
No, yeah, we're a long way from that.
yeah,
Um,
I don't know what.
The top two, I guess the top two would be these two.
Mhm.
Doesn't really.
We just keep doing
We
that
just keep
until
doing
we
it until
can
somebody
also-
is 4.
right, so we can get into.
Right. So if we would take it to the top 3. The top two, we both got 3 votes, is what I'm trying to say here.
Mhm.
Take that to 1 to see if somebody can get 4.
So that would eliminate everybody but Devin Gatton and Steve Perkins, correct?
Mhm.
So then we could take a vote to see if we can get to 1. The vote's looking at 1.
I'm okay with that. You okay with that?
Yeah.
You okay with that?
So go through
Yeah, everyone, if you can post that at round 3, that would be great.
round 3 and then 1, voting for 1.
Um, Yeah, but we don't have it. So we're gonna do it again. Yeah. I just saw yours, and I did the timer. Yeah, go ahead. We're gonna do that one again.
All right, so I think we should have a discussion on the last 2 candidates. 'Cause-
Oh, but you're gonna put them in the.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
gonna
going
put
to,
it-
he's gonna do it right now. I don't know if people are still online.
Yeah.
Waiting, okay.
Yeah,
We're at 13.
15. I just have everybody. Well, I have the admin.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 and 2.
Now I can do the math in my head when I see it. Thank you for double checking my numbers over here.
All right, that's where we're at.
Okay,
So we're 3 to 2.
so.
Somebody has to get 4.
Um,
So discussion.
I
I would try to focus on the
Positive.
positives
Yep.
of the individual that you're, and not
Correct.
point out the negatives.
So I have different positives for both of them. Devin, I love that you have kids in all different schools.
Mhm.
We don't get that a lot.
Mhm.
it's hard to jump in when you have to be told what is so close. What is this? What, you know, like the fact that you have that knowledge is huge. Because most people don't know that we have like all these different high schools within Elkhorn. For myself, for Steve, I love that he's been coming to board meetings for 2 or 3 months now. He knows what we voted on, last week, and he knows the current issues. So that's my take on those two. Doesn't really help because I actually really like all 5 of you.
Yeah, I think it's everybody's good.
Yeah,
I
I know,
really-
I'm good to go with the flow.
I mean, if you don't mind me pointing out, this is just a little historical as the board's kind of pared this down. I think it was very interesting that on the first vote, 4 of the different 5 people who interviewed
It's pretty much everybody.
were the first choice of somebody on there. It was interesting to see it get winnowed down, which was really a reflection of
Right.
great candidates across the board there as you pared it down, but everybody that interviewed was, on that list of top choices.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Originally, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, changed from 1 to 2.
He did,
Well, because there's
correct.
less
Because we had
spots.
less. Yeah.
Anybody else want to case? I agree. I think
I thought it was super interesting that all of our candidates are recent transplants to the school district. Like, not one of them has been here, like a lot of us have lived here most of their lives, and like, you guys have all chosen Elkhorn School District because of the school district. You moved here from outside to come and be part of this community, so.
Yeah.
I thought that was super interesting.
I love it, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know.
it's a tough call. Try one more time?
Yep.
If nothing changes, then we'll have to go
Yeah.
from there.
I'm going to
What are we on? What round is this?
score.
4?
Kevin, do you have yours? Do you have his?
Good. Yeah.
I'll just.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Okay. I need, you have that one.
All right, one candidate has received 4 votes, and that is Devin Getton. Welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Once you're sworn in on the 27th, next meeting, 27th, is it?
Yeah, I believe we have, do we need a formal motion?
Yeah, we need to do that. Let's do that quick, since we've reached this point. Looking for the motion to appoint Devin Getton.
Thank you all. Appreciate you.
Thank
you.
Have a good night now.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you for putting it
I
on.
found that smooth.
I would
Like I said-
encourage you to run too.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I did the same thing. I was not appointed at that time. So
That's okay.
I would love to see all the names on the ballot
No
next
kidding.
year,
Goodness.
next April, and let
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Good luck
Take care.
to you.
Best of luck to you.
Keep the school board good for us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
No, yes, I'll just put you down as a first.
April 21st, 2020.
Is there a second?
Second.
So moved and seconded to appoint Devin Gatton to the Elkhorn Area School District Board, School Board until April 21st, 2024. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mr. Martell is excused, Mr. O'Donnell,
Yes,
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow.
Yes.
motion carried. All right.
Welcome to the
school board.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you'll take your oath on February
Yeah,
27th.
on February 27th, and then we'll be seated.
You got a week.
Perfect. And, yeah, we should look at setting up a time we can go through, WASB and do a little bit of an orientation and.
Yeah, there's a lot that you need to,
Yeah.
there's a lot you can do. There's very little you can do, but there's a lot you can't do.
Yeah,
So
of
we-
course.
Yeah.
I remember the classes.
By law, so.
Yeah, I remember when I was
Need to
working.
go through it. So Mr. Tadlock, he'll meet with you.
Sounds great.
And then WASB has an
Orientation.
orientation in April as well for new,
Perfect.
new board members, so then we'll work on.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moving second to adjourn, roll call vote.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Yes,
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow.
Yes.
motion carried.
All right.